So today we are going to be using the wood burning kit from my last video, link down below. I'm going to teach you all the different techniques you need to know to be able to make a beautiful artwork out of wood, like this one. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So you want to learn how to wood burn. What you're going to need is your soldering iron from our previous video. The link is below. Make sure you watch it before you start this video. Safety is very important. Plus you'll learn the different types of tool, like what type of things you can use for what type of thing. So first up, you need your soldering iron. You also need sandpaper of very, very fine quality. You're also going to need your pliers for changing the tops, a glass bowl or a heat-proof bowl of some kind or plate, whatever you want to put your hot bits on, the rest of your tools, and a power board that you have an on-off switch for or have the power board close by. I'm going to take out this piece and we're going to clean it. So this piece and this round tool is what we used last time. So they're going to be dirty. Tear off your bit of sandpaper. This will make sure that your tool stays good for longer, because the more the carbon builds up around the base, the cooler this tool becomes. So I'm just going to clean this, time lapse, woo! Ready for us to put back into the tool. Yes. Make sure that our little doohickey thing, the thingamabob, that thingamajig, the stand, is taped down. She ain't going nowhere, babe. Your spare piece of wood. Usually what you'll need to do when you're doing a wood burning is prep the wood by doing a light sand. Make sure that your wood is untreated. Untreated. You don't want to be burning any chemicals that could, kill us. Also, make sure that your area is well ventilated. This here is my fan. I'm gonna plug my fan in so that my bird doesn't die. So while we wait for this to heat up, make sure it is hot, but don't touch it. Pro tip, don't touch the hot bit. Do not touch the hot bit. So we're gonna go through and I'm gonna show you some fun little practice techniques to be able to get down shading, line work, and different things that you can do for different areas. All of these things that I'm gonna show you will help you in our final piece. Oh, now you can see this has changed to the base color. It should theoretically be hot enough. It's always good to have a spare little scrap bit of wood anywhere, really, so that you can test how hot it is. Because the downside to getting the cheap tool is that you can't adjust the temperature. So what we're going to do is we're going to show you the different ways that this tool works. So you've got your upright motion, will give you a very straight line. If you hold it on its side, you'll get a very flat line. So if you hold it with that point, you can get very small detailed lines. And if you hold it almost completely flat to the surface, you can get shading. This all depends on the pressure that you use and what you're trying to aim for. So let's see. What I would recommend doing is practicing by doing a few of each until you figure out exactly your pressure, how much you want to do, the different lines you can make. You can make really deep ones by holding it, for a long time. You can make really light and very precise ones by holding it very gently and just touching it. Or you can make these sort of teardrop shapes. So I would recommend doing a couple of lines of these. I don't particularly need to because I do this all the freaking time. It's my jam, guys, it's my jam. Once you've got yourself used to the pressure that you need for each of these lines, then maybe move to filling in space. I hold the tool at this angle, that'll show you, to get this effect. It's trying to make this flat surface touch as much as possible and then dragging it. So by holding it and dragging it, you can get a really big, flat, dark burn. See, this is why we need the fan on, disperse that. No fire alarms here today. Yes. Once you've done a few of these, maybe do a couple of lines where you're directly up and you're just doing little dots. Try and make little dots. The more circular you can get them, the better, because that means that you are right on the top, right on the tip. Just little happy dots. Perfect. If you can get away with doing a whole artwork with just one tooltip, fantastic. It's knowing the tool that you use. Get the most out of one particular tip before you learn how to use different ones. I'm going to show you the 3 tools that I find most useful for different types of things, different types of artworks, especially since I do animal portraits mostly. So I will show you a texture tool for fur and also grass and those sorts of things. I'll show you a round tool so that you can get a feel for how to do calligraphy, how to do round edges, round circles, dots, stippling, all those sorts of things. And I'm going to teach you pretty much this tool inside and out. So there's one last thing that you can learn how to do, which is shading. Now, it does take a lot of practice and a lot of patience to be able to build up shading with this particular tool, because you can't set it on a low setting. If you guys are interested in seeing me go through my professional biography tool and showing you the ins and outs and the different features on it and what you can do with it, then by any means, leave a comment below. I'm happy to show you a bigger tool. Now, shading. We are going to start by little roundy motions. It doesn't cut in as deep, but does work. Alright, and depending on how heavy you do it and how light you touch, depends on the particular type of shading. So you won't be able to get very, very pale shading with this. And if you can, hell yeah. But that's why I have the other tool. So we've got our little shading patches. We've got our lines. We've got our deep dark cuts, and we've got our dots. All of these will help you in creating a fully rounded wood burning. A nice artwork. So this tool is very similar to this little one, except this is bigger and I can show you in big time what this one does. This little one down here is perfect for very, very tiny weeny circles, for ending calligraphy loops, those sorts of things. So just keep that in mind, that these two are very similar, just different sizes. Now, if you want perfectly round circles, you go directly up like this, and that is how you make your dots. And depending on how long you hold it, depends on the different sizes. So make sure you get used to and practicing doing the exact same size dots over and over and over again. That is how you're going to get consistency, and I definitely recommend practicing. So with each of these techniques, try and do 3 lines minimum. It might seem very repetitive, would be a good word, but it really does help when you're first learning how to use the tool and trying to get to a certain amount of skill. Something else that you can do with the round tool, which is really cool, is you can do writing. I mean, you can do writing with this one as well, but it is quite tricky, and I'm not fantastic at writing. So I use watercolor pencils when it comes to my wood, because I find that they wash out easy, especially if you're using similar colors. You can use standard pencils and rub them out, but would absolutely chews up choose up your rubbers. So I use this because I know I'm going to stain my wood afterwards. But let's just write something lovely. There we go. The little one you can get fairly close. The big one, you don't want it to bleed too much. Alright, so I hold mine on an angle when I do this. And you want to try and keep it a consistent pressure. Otherwise you're going to get sort of jittery lines. Consistent pressure, no fear, go in. Just have a full-on power moment. Now, as you can see, as you use the tool, it gets cooler. So you can go over your lines and it will continually burn. So see, this is a nice way to be able to get pretty cool features, you know? You'll be able to write whatever you want. So practicing things like the loopies, the ones that you used to do at school, you know, these ones. I haven't done this for a while. But see, if you're going to be doing lettering, make sure that you give yourself a break after your tool. Once you become accustomed to how the tool works and what you're doing, it really does make a lot of sense to do, to pre-plan what you're going to be doing. Because after 3 loops, it starts to lose its oomph, you know what I mean? But you give it a couple of seconds and it's back again. Way better. You can tell I concentrated harder. Yay! So there is one more tool I want to show you. I'm just going to change this off camera. Ready? 3, 2, 1. All done. Finished. So we're going to let this warm up. This is a new tool, so you'll see the change of color quite vividly. But this one here is our texture tool. This is what I do for cross-hatching, fur, if you want to fill in space for grass, anything like that, you'll be able to get quite a bit of texture. You can also do repetitive patterns with it. You can do quite a lot. This is a very versatile tool for shading as well, if you want to have a different sort of shading to this line up here. So see, this has turned almost completely purple. Perfect. Let's get this down. So we've got our little thing. So see, if you want little lines, this is a great tool. You'll be able to get straight lines together. This could be cool if you wanted to try and do some pop art with the wood burning or anything like that. If you want to get lines for a tin roof, this could be cool. Or what I use these lines for is fur. So if you go backwards and forwards like this, you can build up fur texture very, very simply. And then you can go in with your hardline tool to be able to put in shading and different depths. It's a really good filler tool. Little scratches, little shading. Now, if you want to try and get a lighter shading with this one, try and hold it as flat as possible and go side to side. Because there's less actually touching the wood, you have more control over the temperature that is hitting the wood. So you can get slightly lighter shading. The only problem is you do often get the little speckly dots through it. See? You'll be able to practice really, really deep cuts like this. Ooh, smoky. So if you would like to get very dark textured shading, this is also another way. But beware, the deeper you push with things, the more it burns externally as well. Another way that you can use this tool is cross-hatching. So if you guys would like a tutorial on different styles of shading, how to draw, so to speak, I am happy to do that. But cross-hatching is a really nice way of filling in space, but it is somewhat cartoony. So you can get all different kinds of, instead of going straight with this, you can bend it and move it like this. So once you've got yourself familiar with the different tools, you can really sort of make anything you need, which is very cool. Just with these 3 alone, you can do a fair bit. There are also tools in this kit that are stamps. So if you wanted to do consecutive patterns, borders, there's a nice leaf stamp here, so you'd be able to do those. So, guys, I think we have a basic understanding on how we're going to do these things. We're going to turn off our board, but basically these few techniques will get you something that looks like this. So I use all of the same techniques in this as I would have with this one. So I would have done these rounded edges with the smaller version of this. I would have done all of this stippling with the very tip of our cutting tool, our straight lines, depending on the different things. And I don't think I would have used our texture tool at this unless I was going to be using them for the straight lines here, but I didn't. So next week I am going to show you how to do a wood burning from start to finish. And I think it's going to either be a jellyfish like this or a baby turtle. Comment below to tell me which one you would like to see, baby turtle or jellyfish. And I will teach you how to do my artwork start to finish on that video. Yay! Alright guys, so I will see you next week with that video. And as always, subscribe!